you expect me to sit here
I do.
and talk about the Seattle Seahawks, the reigning two-time NFC champions, my favorite to win the Super Bowl this year?
Yes.
It does not look good.
No.
I understand that.
Thank you.
But I want the record to show. Put that camera back on me, please.
Here we go.
I want the record
Now, be
to
careful.
show.
Be careful.
I want the record to show.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm
seriously.
always careful. I say, hey, I say what I feel.
Yeah.
I say what I
Really?
feel. That's right.
Really?
You're damn right.
Okay.
Here's the deal.
Real talk
Here's the
on first
deal.
take. This
Here's
is
the deal. I said before this season that the Seattle Seahawks would return to the Super Bowl and win.
Yeah,
You did.
Yeah.
And I am even more adamant about it after yesterday's loss.
Oh, now you sound like me.
I feel absolutely, positively adamant about it. This is the worst thing that could have happened to the rest of the NFL.
Oh,
the fact
that's
that
how
they
we're
were
going
up,
to spin
the
this
fact
one.
that they were up 24-7. The fact that Andy Dalton, I'm talking about Mr. Richie Cunningham of the new millennial, okay?
The Red Rifle.
That's right. That dude, Andy Dalton.
Right.
That's the
Somehow,
red
for those
label.
of you out there who don't know Richie Cunningham, Happy Days, very, very
That's
popular
before
hit
my
show.
time, but it's during yours.
I still loved it. I still
still
loved
love
it.
Happy Days,
Here's
too.
the deal. When you think about the Seattle Seahawks, Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas and Bobby Wagner and KJ Wright and Richard Sherman. Richard Sherman, by the way, wasn't just in one area. Wasn't just on the left side. He was all over the field. He was defending both corners. He was defending in the slot. Richard Sherman was all over the place yesterday. Okay? A.J. Green got his. There's no doubt about that. Okay? But what you did was, here's the problem with the Legion of Boom, and they're going to have to fix this. The problem is with Kerry Williams, former Baltimore Raven.
We got a new scapegoat. Kerry Williams.
No.
Yeah.
I like Kerry.
Okay.
I like him as a person, especially with some of the things he had to say last year when he was with the Philadelphia
That's
Eagles.
true.
I respect his candor. But in being candid, the brother's getting exposed.
Okay.
Everywhere he went, Andy Dalton threw the football. You understand? I don't care if it was on A.J. Green, if he was on A.J. Green, if he was on Sanu, if he was on Eifert. It didn't matter where he was. Wherever he was, they threw the damn football. This is what they did. They saw Seattle's weakness, and they attacked over and over and over again. Look at the tape. That's what they did. We got to fix that. We got to fix that.
So it's more the Bengals than your Seahawks?
What are you talking about?
I'm saying so it's more the Bengals winning than your Seahawks being bad is what you're saying.
The Seahawks won. Absolutely. I mean, the Bengals won. Absolutely, it's more the Bengals winning. Absolutely.
I'm saying so that's why you're having confidence in them?
That's right, because I believe that listen, Byron Maxwell to me ain't that great, all right? But he looked pretty damn good playing alongside the Legion of Boom. Goes to Philadelphia, gets a little bit exposed, all right? He's not Bradley Fletcher, but nevertheless, he is what he is. I look at Kerry Williams. Yesterday was a very, very bad day for Kerry Williams. We're going to have to fix that. I believe they will. I believe ultimately they will get it together. This defense will rise up because they were offended by what transpired yesterday afternoon in Cincinnati. I think they will respond in kind. I don't think they appreciate what Andy Dalton did against them. Let me make sure I double check these numbers right here before I quote it. Andy Dalton, 30 of 44, 331 yards. The Legion of Boom. Y'all gave up 331 yards passing to Andy
The most
Dalton.
in 2 years.
Okay? Let me the most in 2 years. Thank you very much. Let me tell you something right there. Somebody's gonna pay for that. Somebody's gonna pay for that.
How are they gonna pay?
Because the Legion of Boom is going to recognize the errors of their ways. They will respond in kind. They will be back. I have not wavered one bit. As a matter of fact, I am more resolute. And by the way, Beast Mode Marshawn Lynch, did you see him play yesterday? I didn't see him play yesterday. You see him play yesterday? They went into overtime without Beast Mode. I guarantee you Cincinnati would not have come back from a 24-7 deficit had Marshawn Lynch been in the lineup. But that's all right. When you give the man 350-plus carries every daggone year, running them into the ground the way the way Jason Garrett and Jerry Jones ran DeMarco Murray into the ground, these kind of things are going to happen. You're not going to be 100% healthy. So Marshawn Lynch got a little beat up, need a little rest, get his bearings on them, get a little bit healthy and fresh again, and he shall return. And when he does, the Legion of Boom also also will return. They will make amends for this. Mere bag of shells. I'm not concerned. I'm more positive than ever before that they shall return. A matter of fact, it's almost looking like it's going to be a rematch of last year's Super Bowl, to be quite honest with you.
Thank you for saying that. So you're admitting that. That's big.
Denver might have something to say, but I don't know what's going on with Peyton Manning. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on, too.
By the way, before I respond to everything you just said, some kid named Thomas Rawls or Lou Rawls or somebody, I don't know who he is.
Yeah.
He went 23 times for 169 yards for your Seahawks,
That's right.
including a 69-yard touchdown run.
He was very impressive.
Okay, well, could Beast Mode do much more than that? I don't think so.
But you got to remember, it's not just about running in terms of accumulating yardage. It's about beating up the opposition a little bit, too. And even though this guy Rawls was incredibly impressive yesterday, and I give him a lot of credit for that, the reality is that Beast Mode is called Beast Mode for a reason. Because having to tackle him and deal with him not only wears you down, but it demoralizes you, as opposed to somebody breaking off a few good plays. There's a different way. It's one thing. It's almost the equivalent. You could get knocked out with one punch, which is not good, but it can happen to any boxer, or you could get beat down over the course of 10, 11, 12 rounds before you fall. It's a difference. One you just lose, the other you get tortured. Beast Mode tends to torture you.
Rawls was called Beast Mode in college, for what it's worth.
He was.
This ain't college.
I'm just sharing the American people.
Okay, now for some real objectivity on this show, as opposed to what we just heard from across the desk.
Oh, this is scary.
The Seattle Seahawks should be 1-4 and basically done for the year, because we know what happened on the bat out of hell play last Monday night, which was why I picked Cincinnati yesterday to, quote-unquote, upset Seattle on a short week, having to travel all the way to Cincinnati against a very legitimate Bengals team. And as I told you Friday, their body language is different this year. They look like they truly believe in themselves. And the fact that the Legion of Boom went boom and was doomed in the fourth quarter, blowing a 24-7 lead just in the fourth quarter to Andy Dalton? Are you kidding me? That is reason for concern bordering on fear on your part. And if you spoke your heart of hearts, you'd say, I'm getting pretty scared here. I'm getting scared because this is not good. And if I could speak, to use your word, candid, I'm going to be candid about one of probably your favorite Seahawk, Cam Chancellor. I said when he came back, impressed that he came back. Way to go, Cam. But the whole world, the NFL world, especially the Seattle Nation, Seahawks Nation, said, we have our savior back. And I said, you know what? That's not fair to him. He ain't that great. He is just a safety. He's not the quarterback. And even though he made a great play, all-time great play to almost save that game, it did save the game, but it shouldn't have. Obviously, the bogus call resulted right after that. But my point is, you cannot let him off the hook for yesterday, because Tyler Eifert abused him too many times. Tyler Eifert abused Kerry Williams a couple of times too. But if you check the tape, as you say, it's not just Kerry Williams as the only scapegoat here. Cam had a rough day.
Well, that's fair. That's fair, because I meant when I brought up Kerry Williams, I meant with Green, Sanu, and Jones, not Eifert.
All right.
Cam Chancellor was one of the people on Eifert, not Kerry Williams. So I get
a big difference in the game was that the Bengals had Tyler Eifert, and the Seahawks are still stuck with whatever happened to Jimmy Graham, right? So you got a 6'7" tight end over here for the Bengals, who should be making a difference, having a big impact. What did he have yesterday? 3 catches for 30 yards. I don't know what's going on. They can't figure out how to get the ball to him. They can't figure out how to sort of fit him into what they do with Russell Wilson, who had another pretty rough day yesterday.
Yes, he did. Because the offensive line is not protecting them nearly as much as they should. And Jimmy Graham is no blocker, so he's not helping that much with the offensive line in terms of helping them block. So all of those things are problematic.
Okay, so meanwhile, on the other side, the 6'6" tight end, Tyler Eifert, catches 8 balls for 90 yards and 2 touchdowns, and that's a difference maker on that side. Wouldn't you agree? Yeah. Because the Red Rifle can just look for Tyler Eifert when he's in trouble and throw it up, and Tyler Eifert's probably going to come down with it. I feel like your Seahawks are starting to lose their winning edge that got them to 2 straight Super Bowls.
Can I get serious with you? In all honesty?
I've been serious over here.
No. I don't mean that way. Of course, we're all serious about, but we're talking about the game. But I'm going to tell you something that I think they will fix because they have to. Skip Bayless, and I could be wrong. let me emphasize this. This has nothing to do with reporting. This is just my own thought process as I'm watching the team play. Skip Bayless, Molly, they don't look like they're playing for Pete Carroll the way they used to.
Okay, well, that's highly that's part parcel of this whole equation. I agree.
They don't. Now, I don't believe that will last because I think over the course of a 16-game season, these moments are rare, and I think grown men appreciate that more than anybody does. And I think look at Richard Sherman. Do you see the same swagger?
Nope.
Look at.
I don't.
I look at Bobby Wagner and Earl Thomas. They look the same. They look healthy. They're formidable. They look the same. And obviously, you look at a guy like a Kerry Williams. He's new to the mix. He's got to get himself better acclimated. They've got to get him better acclimated. And there are some things to fix there. But I think when you look at what transpired in that Super Bowl last year, and you look at Cam Chancellor's holdout,
I agree.
and you look at Marshawn Lynch and how supportive he was, and then you look at losing a Byron Maxwell. You know, again, in their system,
I agree.
Fit. I think you sort of Seahawks predictably, and I'm not casting aspersions on them for it. It is a business, and they have to conduct business, and you can't pay everybody. But I think you see the way that they've elected to handle some things, and it's brought into question the relationship that the players once had with their coach. In years past, I saw a team that went out there, you know, I ain't trying to sound like Greg Hardy or whatever. I won't use that analogy. But I will say to you, they went after it.
They did.
And now you see them, they play hard. They can play at an elite level under most instances. For 3 quarters, they did that yesterday.
They did.
But the flip side to it is that you just don't see the same chemistry with their coach.
They don't trust.
A lot transpired.
They don't seem. Again, I don't cover the team. I don't want anybody in Seattle quote me. And nobody told me this. I didn't speak to any players about this. I'm just saying that I don't see the same level of fervor.
I agree.
And just go for it mentality that I want to do. And even with Richard Sherman, he's out there playing hard, and for the most part, he's being effective. He's still one of the best corners in the game. But I don't see the same swagger. And I don't know why, but I don't see it. I don't see this enthusiasm about getting after the opponent. I personally believe that will not last. I personally believe they will get it back. But in fairness to you, I will tell you, I do notice what you're seeing in them. The difference between you and I is I don't believe it will last.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. Last quick thought on Marshawn. And I am not for a second suggesting that he's jaking it, but is it possible that he has so much distrust of his head coach, he's feeling bitterness over the way Cam was treated, that maybe he's saying, man, I'm not going to rush back and risk re-injury for this guy, for this coach.
Well, it's not just, I think it's possible, and let's not just say him, let's say his offensive coordinator, because his mama
that's
on Facebook post mentioned the offensive coordinator. Now, I mean, I would think Pete Carroll and it would stop there. But when moms mentions the offensive coordinator, then chances are he's saying him too. And that offensive coordinator, Darry Bevel, came out, had to give his press conference, and with those attacks that were aimed directly, he was very respectful as well as he should have been, et cetera, et cetera. But he also laughed it off. Like, you know, in a dismissive fashion, like, this is no big deal, there's nothing surprising there, what else can you expect? No, that's not ordinary. You don't see too many people doing what Mama Lynch did. So I think that says something, and that gives us some insight that things are simply not what they used to be. And Pete Carroll, great coach, national champion on collegiate level, Super Bowl champion on pro level, he's going to have to show us what he's made of here to get this team steered in the right direction.
The Seahawks are allowing opposing tight ends to catch over 80% of their targets, highest in the NFL.
Cam Chancellor has to address that.
No
he has
question.
to address that.
All right, moving on. We go from Stephen A. Super Bowl pick to Skips. It was a tale of 2 halves for Tom Brady, and we had a psycho Tom sighting. What did his second half performance against the Cowboys say about him? We'll get into that on the other side. Stay here.